Prepare yourself for what you're about to discover, because what I'm going to reveal isn't just another spiritual awakening symptom. This goes far beyond seeing angel numbers or feeling more intuitive. Through 45 years of quantum hypnosis sessions with thousands of clients, Dolores Cannon uncovered something extraordinary. She discovered that certain souls, what she called the volunteers, agreed to incarnate on Earth during this exact time in history. But here's what she rarely discussed publicly. There is one specific symptom that only appears in the most advanced volunteer souls. And if you're experiencing this, especially after the age of 45, your body isn't breaking down, it's upgrading. This symptom doesn't happen to everyone. It can't, because it only activates in those whose energy field is strong enough to anchor 5D frequency while still living in a 3D world. If you've been feeling this, you may have thought you were losing yourself, that something was wrong, that you were going through a crisis. But what if I told you that every strange sensation, every moment of disconnection, every wave of unexplainable change was actually your light body beginning to activate? Today, I'm going to walk you through the 8 sacred layers of this transformation, exactly as Dolores Cannon documented them through decades of deep hypnosis work. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why your soul chose this specific timeline, why the age of 45 is not a coincidence, and what comes next in your 5D transition. Let's begin. The first layer begins quietly. It doesn't announce itself with a dramatic event. It slips into your awareness during an ordinary moment. You're driving to work, making dinner, scrolling through your phone, and suddenly the thought arrives. This doesn't feel like me anymore. Your job, your relationships, your goals, the identity you've been carrying for decades, it all begins to feel borrowed, like you inherited a life that was never truly yours. You start asking questions you've never asked before. Why do I care about this? Who told me this mattered? When did I stop feeling alive? Dolores Cannon called this the dismantling of the false self. In her hypnosis sessions, she discovered that volunteer souls spend the first half of their lives building what she called the 3D costume. You learn to fit in, to follow the rules, to become what society expects. But here's what happens around age 45. Your soul contract activates. The veil between your human programming and your soul memory begins to thin, and suddenly the life you built, the one that felt so important for so long, stops making sense. This is not a midlife crisis. This is a soul-level recalibration. You may try to brush it off at first, change your routine, take a vacation, do something fun. But the feeling deepens. It grows into something heavier, an energetic mismatch between your inner truth and your outer reality. Part of you wants to return to comfort, to pretend everything is fine, but you can't. The illusion no longer fits. And even if you try to go back, the doors close behind you. Because this isn't just change. This is departure. You are leaving behind an entire version of yourself. And once this layer begins, you cannot unknow what you now feel. After the initial disconnection from your environment, the second layer arrives, and it hits even harder. Your relationships start to shift. People you once felt close to suddenly feel distant. Conversations that used to flow easily now feel shallow, forced. The rhythm between you changes. You might sit across from someone you've known for years and feel like you're speaking a completely different language. This isn't because you're better than them. It's not judgment, it's frequency. Dolores Cannon explained this phenomenon in her book, The 3 Waves of Volunteers. She said that as volunteer souls begin waking up, their energy field starts vibrating at a higher frequency. And when your frequency rises, those who are still operating in 3D consciousness no longer can match your resonance. That misalignment creates friction. You'll notice strange interactions, friends becoming distant or avoidant, family members misunderstanding your words even when you're speaking clearly. Social gatherings that once felt warm now feel energetically heavy, like you're wading through thick air. This layer can be incredibly lonely. Most people fear this stage so much that they abandon their awakening entirely just to keep the peace. They shrink back down, they pretend, they return to old patterns just to avoid the isolation. But volunteer souls, they move through it anyway, not because they want to lose people they love, but because their soul won't let them go back to pretending. And here's what Dolores discovered. This part of the symptom is not about rejection, it's about recalibration. The universe is rearranging your relationships to match the frequency you're growing into. Some people will fall away. It will hurt, but it's also clearing space for connections that reflect the truth of who you're becoming, not who you used to be. This is the sacred loneliness that all awakening souls must walk through, and it's preparing you for the next layer. Suddenly, the world becomes overwhelming. Environments you used to navigate easily, crowded stores, busy restaurants, social events, start to drain you rapidly. The noise feels louder, the lights feel brighter, other people's energy feels heavier. This isn't social anxiety, this is energetic sensitivity. Dolores Cannon documented this extensively in her sessions. She explained that as the light body begins to activate, your entire nervous system becomes more refined. You're no longer tuned to tolerate what you once absorbed unconsciously. Your senses sharpen. You begin to feel people's intentions before they speak. You sense their stress, their fear, their pain, even when they're smiling. You might find yourself needing more solitude, more time in nature, more silence, not out of fear or depression, but necessity. Your body craves recalibration. It needs space to process the energetic downloads it's receiving. You may even become sensitive to things you previously ignored, certain foods that suddenly feel heavy, technology that makes your head hurt, artificial lighting that exhausts you. Many people experiencing this layer think something is wrong with them. They wonder if they're becoming weak, fragile, too sensitive. But Dolores Cannon said the opposite is true. She called this the purification of the energy field. Your system is being upgraded to sense what others cannot. You're developing the ability to read energy like a language, and in a world built on emotional numbness and constant stimulation, that sensitivity feels like a burden. But it's not. It's your new compass. This layer forces you to create boundaries, to choose carefully where your energy goes, to realize that protecting your field isn't isolation, it's preparation. You are being trained to navigate dimensions that most people don't even know exist, and that training begins with learning to feel what others overlook. As your awakening deepens, something unexpected happens. Your drive to prove yourself begins to dissolve. You might still be successful, you might still have goals and ambitions, but the hunger to dominate, to outperform, to climb the ladder and be the best, it starts to vanish. At first, this can feel disorienting. You might wonder if you're losing your edge, your motivation, your ambition, but you're not. You're replacing competition with purpose. Dolores Cannon discovered this pattern again and again in her sessions with volunteer souls. She found that once these souls begin remembering why they came to Earth, their ego-driven desires fall away naturally. You stop caring about ladders that don't lead anywhere meaningful. You stop chasing applause from people who don't understand your mission. Your soul no longer needs external validation to know its worth. And in place of competition comes something far more powerful, the desire to serve, to create, to express without needing recognition in return. This is where volunteer souls truly separate from the collective consciousness. While others are chasing visibility, you're chasing alignment. While others want control, you want clarity. While others are fighting for space and systems that no longer serve humanity, you're quietly building something new. You start realizing that your worth was never in your resume, never in your follower count, never in your bank account or your job title. Your soul doesn't want to win, it wants to awaken. And once that desire becomes your North Star, everything changes. Decisions become easier. Your path becomes clearer. You stop apologizing for taking up space because you're no longer trying to fit into a world you came here to transform. You begin noticing it during small moments. You glance at the clock and realize an hour has passed when it felt like 5 minutes, or the opposite. You've only been sitting for a moment, but it feels like you've drifted through hours of deep thought. This isn't poor focus. It's not distraction or brain fog. It's the result of your consciousness no longer syncing with linear time. Dolores Cannon spoke about this phenomenon extensively. She explained that 3D reality operates on linear time, past, present, future, in a straight line. But 5D consciousness exists outside of that construct. As your light body activates, your awareness begins tapping into the eternal present moment so deeply that the past and future lose their grip on you. You begin sensing that everything is happening simultaneously, that intuition is more reliable than planning, that timing in life isn't about control, it's about alignment with energetic flow. You might find it harder to stick to rigid schedules. Long-term goals that once drove you now feel hollow. This isn't laziness or lack of discipline. It's your inner compass switching from the clock to the frequency of divine timing. You begin trusting inner nudges more than calendars. You notice synchronicities everywhere, the right people appearing at the right moment, messages arriving exactly when you need them, doors opening not when you force them, but when you align with them. Dolores called this quantum consciousness. She said that volunteer souls are here to bridge the gap between 3D time and 5D timelessness. And part of that mission requires you to experience time differently than those still living in the old paradigm. The more you allow this shift, the more time becomes something you move with, not something you chase. And that's when life stops feeling like a race and starts feeling like a sacred unfolding. One of the most misunderstood symptoms of light body activation is how much you begin to crave solitude. Not because you're depressed, not because you dislike people, but because something inside you needs silence to hear what's being transmitted. This often shows up after the energy sensitivity phase. Being around others too much starts to blur your own frequency. Even casual conversations can feel draining. Even people you love can feel energetically heavy. It's not personal, it's energetic. You may find yourself canceling plans, unplugging from constant notifications, spending hours alone doing absolutely nothing and loving it. Most people fear being alone. Society tells us that isolation means something is wrong. But Dolores Cannon discovered the opposite. She found that volunteer souls require what she called integration time. This is the sacred space where the downloads land, where your nervous system stops bracing for external noise, where your soul processes the quantum information it's receiving from higher dimensions. Solitude isn't empty, it's sacred. And here's what happens when you honor it. You begin to hear your soul's voice more clearly. You receive guidance. You remember fragments of why you came here. Ideas arrive. Clarity emerges. Dolores Cannon said that many volunteer souls are what she called backroom people. They're not meant to be on stage. They're not meant to be constantly surrounded by others. Their mission unfolds in the quiet, in the stillness, in the spaces between the noise. And ironically, the more time you spend alone, the more powerful your presence becomes when you do re-enter the world. Because solitude doesn't weaken you, it strengthens your signal. Stillness is where volunteer souls recharge their spiritual clarity and retrieve their assignment. Something begins rising inside you. It doesn't speak in words, but it's loud, undeniable. You sense that there's something you came here to do, something specific, not just to exist, not just to pay bills and survive, but to serve in a way that's uniquely yours. But here's the frustrating part. You can't define it yet. You don't have the full picture. You might get flashes of it in dreams, moments of inspiration that feel like remembering rather than learning, but the details remain vague. You only know one thing for certain. What you're currently doing isn't enough anymore. This is where many volunteer souls begin wrestling with identity. You may start losing interest in jobs, roles, or labels that once gave you stability and pride. You're no longer satisfied with normal. You feel pulled towards something higher, something more meaningful, even if it hasn't shown up in your external reality yet. Dolores Cannon called this soul contract activation. She explained that before volunteer souls incarnate, they agree to specific missions, but those missions are often hidden during the first half of life. This is intentional. You needed time to learn how 3D reality works, to understand human suffering, to develop compassion and strength. But around age 45, sometimes earlier, sometimes later, the veil lifts and your soul begins remembering. This sensation doesn't fade. In fact, the more you ignore it, the louder it becomes. It's not your imagination, it's your soul signaling that your real assignment is beginning to surface. You may not be meant to change the world publicly. Your mission could be quiet, deeply personal, and completely invisible to others. But whatever it is, it's real. And if you're feeling it now, that means your awakening has entered a phase most people never reach: soul recognition without ego interference. You're not asking, what will make me famous? You're asking, what did I come here to do? And that question, that's the doorway opening. This is the final layer, and it's the one that changes everything. Because once this hits, there's no going back. You lose the ability to fake it. You can't force smiles anymore. You can't engage in meaningless small talk. You can't show up as a watered-down version of yourself just to make others comfortable. You don't become rude. You don't become cold. You simply become real. And that authenticity begins to radiate so powerfully that it changes the way people respond to you. Some get uncomfortable and pull away. Others feel magnetized and draw closer. But you feel free. Dolores Cannon said this was the final stage of what she called the return to original frequency. She explained that when souls first incarnate into 3D bodies, they forget their true nature. They take on masks, they learn to perform, they mold themselves into shapes that fit the world around them. But volunteer souls aren't here to fit in. They're here to remember and to help others remember too. And that remembering culminates in this 8th layer, the return to truth. You stop molding yourself to expectations. You stop shaping your identity based on who others want you to be. You stop shrinking to be liked. You become grounded, not in arrogance, but in clarity. And that clarity makes life simpler, not harder. Decisions get easier because you know what aligns and what doesn't. Boundaries become cleaner because you're no longer afraid of disappointing people. You stop apologizing for your presence because once you remember who you are, you stop acting someone you're not. And in a world built on performance and pretending, that makes you extremely rare. This is the deepest transformation of the volunteer soul's awakening. Not because you've mastered everything, not because you have all the answers, but because you've stopped lying to yourself. And that is when the 5D frequency fully anchors into your body. That's when your light body activation completes its first major cycle. That's when you become a living bridge between worlds. If this message found you today, it's not a coincidence. Your soul guided you here because you needed this confirmation. You needed to know that what you're experiencing has a name, a purpose, a divine timing. So, here's what I want you to do. If these 8 layers spoke to your soul, if you recognized yourself in this journey, I want you to comment below, "I am a volunteer soul." Let's claim this together, because volunteer souls don't walk this path alone. We recognize each other, we support each other, we remember together.